All right. Welcome to Custom Cap Collectors. Thank you for folks that have tuned in to watch us. And we're going to get started. And hopefully, on most weeks, we will have the three of us, and in future shows, we should have some guests. Typically, I would expect the three of us to be here. So we've got a little bit of a shakeup today in that Aaron, who had planned to be with us, had something come up that he needed to take care of. So today it's just going to be myself and Glenn. And so let's introduce ourselves. And so
What's up? I'm Glenn. I've been a clink collector for like a year and a half ish. Um, I'm Glenn Coco on Instagram. Um, and thanks for joining us. We're excited about it.
And I'm Matt, and I've been collecting clink since 2002. And I've spent way too much money, and I've gone back and collected a bunch of clinks from before I discovered Clink Room in the last year through the buy sell trade and through eBay and those kinds of shops. You might notice that my room is not a typical room. So my other big hobby is Lego building, and so this is my Lego studio, and it's a fun place for me, and it's colorful. And like all the buildings above, those are all stuff that I've created. So I like to do a lot of architecture type stuff. Not a lot of architecture on hats. And so those are two hobbies that don't cross over very often. But one of the things that I do take from my interest in Lego is I really care about color a lot. And so when we go through, if you've seen me, I did 2 appearances with Leon, and I comment a lot on color. I'm not a drawer, but I am someone who thinks about color just in terms of my other hobbies. So speaking of Leon, every one of us has, all three of us normal panelists have been on Leon's show over the years. Aaron was on multiple times. I had a chance to be on twice, and Glenn was on recently in the last, in the last couple of months. And if you are tuning in, you probably already know this, but Leon announced about 8 days ago that he was either stopping or going on hiatus for the Sunday show. If you like Leon, he's got other hat discussions on Views from the Vault, but specifically talking about clean cats, that show is not happening. And so Leon did over 100 episodes, and we had a chance to meet many of the artists, those of us who collect clean cats. And I've actually been going back and watching some of the older shows just to put a face with the name for the clinks that I collect. And the three of us that will be regulars on the show, we are collectors, and he made an effort to reach out and include folks from the collector community. And so one of the things I want to say is that when Leon announced that he was taking a break, I was honestly pretty upset. So for me, it was appointment viewing. I really like to tune in. I like to see the art, and I would sit there on the couch, and as Leon and the guests would go through, I would, make comments with my spouse about what we liked and which ones we didn't care for. And I'm going to miss that. Of course, we still get to look at that stuff on Monday when it comes up on Crits, but I just enjoyed the show. And so when Leon stopped, I reached out to Glenn and to Aaron, and I said, I would like for there to be a place where people who collect customs can come and hang out and discuss what they like, what's in the community. And so both these gentlemen agreed. And so this is what we're doing. So this is the first show. Thank you for dropping by. And we might do some tinkering as we kind of figure out the format and what we want to talk about. But we can never replace Leon, but we will always be grateful that he got us interested in this. All right. And so let's jump in and go to our crits cases. One thing we're going to do a little bit different here is that instead of going through all 20 designs, because we have some other stuff we want to talk about today, we're going to go through, and each of the panelists will pick 4 or 5 hats that they really liked and I assume voted for and would potentially purchase if they go to the shop. And then we're going to pick out a couple of hats that maybe we think need a little bit of work. So we'll do a little bit of criticizing, constructive criticizing, but we'll also talk about why we love certain designs. And so we're going to go through and talk about this. So this is 2 of Glenn's nominees. So Glenn, jump in and tell us what it is about these hats that grabbed your attention.
First off, what up, Matt Bushel of Awesome? How you doing, bro? What up, 5982? All right, Magma Shark by Milosh. Um, I this one basically had me speechless. I was blown away by what he did as a follow-up to Ice Sharks. Um, it's just beautiful. I love the contrast with the gray crown. And I'm typically not that big on gray crowns. I don't hate them, but it's got to be a really cool hat to be like a badass gray crown hat. And he definitely hit the mark with this one. Um, with the colors of the lava, the like the hardened stone, just everything. Everything's awesome about it. The red lava UV, um, he hit it out the park for with this one. This one is a no doubt insta buy for me. Hopefully he got a contract for it today.
It
Fortitude
last
by
it was.
oh, go ahead.
I think when I looked at it last, it was doing very well in the vote. So knock on wood, it's getting to the shop on Friday.
Yeah. And I don't know if he got a contract for sure or not, but I don't see how you couldn't give him one for this one. Um Fortitude by Heather. I really liked this one. I didn't get a chance to read the little caption, the little blurb about it to see what the inspiration was. It's just a cool design to me. I like the colorway. Similar colorway, the red under, the black visor, um, kind of a earthy tone crown, good contrast with the red and the black. It all ties together well, looks good. Like you would say, to me, it looks good. Looks like it would look good from a distance. People would be able to tell what it is. It's not a brand new concept, but it's kind of reimagined in a different way than you're used to seeing. It's a little bit different, kind of sets it apart. Um, so yeah, those were two that I liked today and definitely voted for.
So, spoiler, I also picked Magma Shark on my slide. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But one of the comments, one of the things I want to say about that particular design by Milos is if you see obsidian, so obsidian is what magma, when it cools, it hardens into this, very hard rock. It has that glassy aspect. That's what impressed me the most about this design. He's got like the red and the orange tones, so he's conveying like the heat of the lava. But when the lava cools and it gets this like shiny glass aspect to it, that's tricky to figure out how to portray in a like a flat two-dimensional image. And he pulled it off, and it's impressive to me. Like his
Agreed.
ability to do that. And it's and as you mentioned, I am a big fan of clean separation between design and the background. I like things that can be observed from 5, 8, 10 feet away. And this is something that I think you're going to be able to see from a distance and recognize that it is a shark. You might not recognize that it's made out of lava until you get closer and look at it, but it definitely has that nice clean contrast. And then the Fortitude design, it also has nice color contrast between the design and the background. And one of the things I like about this one is the spikiness. And so you've got the spikes coming in black above and below the helmet, but you also have kind of the spikiness of each of the I guess they're feathers. And so, and then you've got a little bit of color with the eyes. And so it has a kind of creepy, prickly, dangerous vibe coming off of it. And so it's has a little bit of a feeling of danger and of power. And so I also like this one. I also voted for this one, but I voted for more than four. So, I can only pick four to show. So the Fortitude won't be on my slide, but it also got my vote. So, all right, let's jump to the next pair for Glenn.
All right, Candy Pumpkin, uh, by Raphael. I'm always down for a, what is it, like popsicle slash ice cream bar, mixed with a seasonal holiday, and being Halloween my favorite seasonal holiday, it's a no-brainer for me. And I'm typically not real big on purple. It's growing on me. But this one's really cool. Purple's kind of a Halloweeny color. Um, Kind of has some candy corn vibes to it too, with the visor and the UV. Um, it's just fun. It's just a good time on a hat.
Here's a question for you. Growing up, did you ever eat the at Halloween time? Did you ever eat the caramel apple dipped in caramel and then put with a stick in it? Did you ever eat one of those?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Those are great.
That's immediately what came to my mind when I saw this. Instead of it being an apple, though, it's this pumpkin and it's something's dripping off of it. I don't know if it's supposed to be caramel, but it definitely gave me that Halloween caramel apple vibe when I saw
There you go. Yeah, that makes more sense than ice cream.
it.
I've yeah. Did you get the pumpkin pie to eat?
I did not. I had a
Yeah.
I joked in our pre-show chat that I was going to swing by and grab a slice of pumpkin pie and I would eat it while Glenn talked about these hats because we do have a pumpkin theme. If you voted, you already know that 3 of the 20 possible hat designs were pumpkin, and this one's fun because not only did you get the pumpkin pie, but the pie is holding the pie not scooper but spade to get the pie out of the pan. So maybe if this goes to the shop next week, I'll have time to grab some pumpkin pie and we can have a bite on screen next week.
I really like Buenos biscuits. He doesn't seem to get much love in the voting, which hurts my heart sometimes. I really liked this one. I really like pumpkin pie, period. But put a pumpkin pie, a little mischievous pumpkin pie on a hat with a pie shovel in his hand. That's great. And I love the colors of it. That's another thing I love about Buenos is he's always full of color. He's always doing something a little different. um, Everybody doesn't always agree with it, obviously, but he's gonna do what he does, and unapologetically, and I love that about him, and I love his designs and his color choices. And some of them might be unconventional and funky and bold, but I like that about him.
One of the things I like about this too is that he's got a little bit of the shine, so you can see the shine on the pie scooper, and you can see a slightly different color in the whipped cream on top. So you get the feeling of the shape of it, and so obviously this is a bit of a mixture of a real life object and a cartoon sort of stylized figure, but it's got elements that reference a real life slice of pie and a real life you know scooper spade that you would get something out of the pan. So one story I'll share is that in my house growing up, my mother was very strict about you only had sweets after eating the meal. So that was one of her traditions that, if you're going to have like ice cream or cake or something like that, it waited till after. But the one the one case where this was broken, I come down, my father loves pumpkin pie, and I came down one time the morning after Thanksgiving at our house, and he's eating a slice of pumpkin pie for breakfast. And this was like very much against my mother's rules. And I'm like, well, if dad can do it, then Matt can do it. And so my dad said, well, pumpkin, it's a vegetable. You can have it for breakfast. So pumpkin pie was like the one time you could violate the sweets are after the meal rule at our house. And speaking of Thanksgiving, I do want to pause here for a second and say, if we do have any viewers from Canada, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. And so I've got some friends north of the border, and their Thanksgiving, which actually was invented before American Thanksgiving, was this weekend, and today's a federal holiday in Canada for their Thanksgiving. So tip of the hat to any of our Canadian friends and Canadian viewers. As a teacher, I wish we had our Thanksgiving in October instead of 5 weeks before Christmas, but they don't ask me, so that's when our Thanksgiving falls. All right, let's go to our next two submissions that Glenn picked out of the 20. Tell us about these two. What were your thoughts?
Poker Face, Creaturezoid, and Zach Soundwave Threads. Something that's different. It's another skull design, but it's completely different from your run-of-the-mill skull design. Little gambling influence on there. I really like this one just because it's a different take on a skull. And you and I talk about Clink is so skull and bonesed out. Like, it takes a lot for us to be interested in a design that's skull related or Reaper related. And to me, this one did it. This was a great take on an old design. So kudos to them. I did talk to Zach, and he did not get a contract for this one, unfortunately. I thought it would have voted much better than it did. I can't remember if it finished in the teens or in the 20s, but somewhere, let me look it up. Something like that. Let's see. 24%. It finished at 24%. I thought it would have been, at least in the 30s at the minimum. I was hoping for the high 30s and it to get selected, but it did not.
I would say about this one, I share with you. I have a lot of skull fatigue as a collector. I like the fact though that the skull here is kind of sublimated. It's kind of in the background. It's the shape of the table, and I think using the poker chips for the eyes is frankly brilliant. The skull is definitely there if you're looking, but you can also just kind of see it as a poker table. And one of the things that I've advocated for is for Clink to do new things, different things than we've had before that have appeared for sale. And we haven't had a lot of poker themed or gambling themed type of hats.
Yeah.
And so I like this one because it's taking a sort of underutilized activity, and it's giving it to us in a way that is sort of telling a two-level story. So on the one hand, we can imagine the gamblers are coming up to the table, and they're getting their cards and they're sliding the chips, and so we've got that we can kind of feel like that activity is about to happen, and then we've got that overhead view, and we also have this hint of the skull that there's some danger here, right? You could lose all your money if you're not careful. And
Right.
so I like that two level. All right, why don't you take the next one? I'm going to step out for a second because I need to plug my laptop in. I thought I had enough battery, but I'm not. So you talk about it, and I'll be right back.
All right. Dare to Enter, Sierra Gons. Sierra is one of my favorite artists. One of the veterans. Um, Everything he does is solid in my opinion. This one, more Halloween vibes, more autumn vibes. Um, it has a feel of Tim Burton, yeah, almost to me. Um, Very Tim Burton-esque. I like the creepy little smile, the small little pupils on the black eyes, and then the bent wrought iron gate, I guess to the cemetery back behind him, or the pumpkin patch, I guess. Um, but yeah, this one I voted for as well. I don't know. I don't know if he got a contract for it. I'm not on a personal level with Sierra. It finished at 42%. So I'm guessing there's a good chance for it to be in the shop Friday, or at least to go to the queue. Um, so yeah, great job, Sierra, on that one. What did you think about that one, Matt? Oh, can't hear you. Can you hear me?
There we go. I'm back. I
All
muted my
right.
mic. to go plug in my laptop. So we got power again. I'm a huge fan of Sierra. I own quite a few of his hats. For me, I have some reservations. I like my designs a little bit cleaner. So all the kind of squiggly lines are a little holding me back a little bit from pre-ordering this particular one. I like just cleaner looks. It's just a taste thing.
Were you able to hear what I said or no?
I heard part of it. Yes.
Okay, yeah. I was saying it's very Tim Burton-esque to me.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's go on to the next one. So now we're going to jump into my selections, and look, I don't have a lot new to say because when I saw Glenn's, I'd already picked out my items, and I'm like, okay, well, we're in agreement on those two. Check, check, and not a lot of difference. It'll be one thing about normally if we have 3 or 4 panelists, for sure we'll probably get some overlap every week because great designs will probably appeal to multiple voters. And Glenn and I both liked and voted for these 2 designs. So we've already talked about them. So let's go to the next 2. And so the next 2 are ones that I like both of these. And so we've got MangaCon, and I am not a manga consumer. I haven't, watched, read that kind of stuff. And so I'll be perfectly frank that I don't know what the characters represent. And I don't understand why his hand is on fire, but I like this design. So while I don't know anything about the subculture, and I just like it. And so, the Kong, the lines are probably a little more jaggedy than I normally like, but what I do like about it is the sense of like energy and danger, and the kanji. I think that's the correct term. The kanji characters on the right and the top and the bottom. Also, again, I can't read that, but obviously I recognize, it comes from that subculture and that genre. And so I just like it. And I probably own a week's worth of sort of Japanese themed hats. And this would be one I could imagine fitting into that, like 6 or 7 hats that come from that particular culture, and liking it. What are your thoughts about this one, Glenn?
Um, it's beautifully drawn. Um, I like the art about it. I'm not that big on the Japanese culture designs. It's just not my cup of tea. But if that is your cup of tea, then this one is badass. I'm always a big fan of Zach and his artwork. Um, I'm a big fan of his. Um, this one did not get a contract either, unfortunately. Um, but who knows? Casey could change his mind. You never know.
And it could also be one that, gets resubmitted, and maybe with some tweaks it would get a more votes.
Yeah,
Um, but I liked it. So, I mean, one of the things that's different about us talking about these hats on Monday versus when Leon would do it, he would be doing it before the vote would happen. And so there's an element of mystery. You don't know how it's received by the hat collector voters. And of course, us talking about this on Monday night, we've had a chance to see how the community's voted on it. And, I just want to say that for myself, and you did this with one of your hats, I'm still going to pick hats that I think are cool, or designs
yeah.
that I think are well done, even if they didn't necessarily vote well.
Oh yeah.
And I think I think we're all advocates. There's those designs that we loved that never made it to the shop, and that's probably going to show up in our discussions every week. There's going to be something that broke our hearts that we really, really wanted to see get to the shop, and it just didn't make it. When we were chatting in our private chat earlier today, I said, I made some comment about that there's 3 pumpkin designs, and my favorite pumpkin design wasn't the leading pumpkin, so I was a little bit disappointed. Like, we're getting into that, Thanksgiving, Halloween time of year where pumpkins are more frequent. And there were 3 pumpkin designs, and my personal favorite wasn't the top pumpkin. I was a little bit disappointed in that. So we'll see. All right, so let's go to the next one, which is the mammoth. And so the mammoth here is it's got kind of a furrowed brow. It looks a bit fierce, and we've got snow swirling around. So we've got the hairs kind of standing up and it feels like this mammoth is in the ice age. It's in a snowstorm. I like this. Uh, Many years, a year or two ago, I bought the bison in the snowstorm, which was a hat design, and I still love that one. I think it was called Prairie Storm. So this one has a bit of an echo with the snow effect. And I also like hats that have extinct animals as well. So, like saber-toothed dragons, saber-toothed tigers, and T-Rex and those kinds of things. I organize my animal hats by, I have water hats, water animals, air animals, small land animals, large land animals, and extinct animals. So this would go in extinct along with my T-Rex hats. We really need like a Triceratops and a Stegosaurus. I just want to put that out there. But extinct animal hats. The one concern that I had and about this is that if you don't know, the hockey team that's now based in Utah recently, just summer, renamed itself as the Utah Mammoth. And since New Era makes hockey hats, I do wonder if New Era might nix this as being too close to the Mammoth for the NHL hockey team.
I hope not.
I guess we'll find out when it goes through legal. I know that I follow some other hat channels that do NHL and other sports hockey logos. And with this logo being new, they're being a bit protective of how the NHL Mammoth is being used on hat designs. Whether that will spill over to Clink Room or not, I don't know. But I will be curious, if this goes to the shop, I'll be curious to see if it does go through, because we've heard from multiple designers over the years that appeared on Leon's show about getting things through New Era legal is sometimes hard. And so this would be one where there may be a little bit of risk for legal kicking it back. So I guess we'll have to see. What are your thoughts on this, Glenn?
I really like this one. I've always been a fan of Heather. She showed me this one in the early stages, and I thought it was cool. I wasn't crazy about it, but I thought it was cool. But then when she got it on the hat and all the coloration and everything, I really liked it. I love the different shades of blue, um the shades with the white and the gray, and it really conveys that he's like forever frozen in time, ice age style. It's really fun. um yeah, I would order this one. um I'm glad that it went through. She did get a contract for it, we were talking about earlier. So I'm excited. I'll get that one definitely. It looks great.
All right. Well, that's once the one thing that, one of the things about this collector community is that in some ways it's kind of small. And so if you follow these artists on Instagram, and I've definitely had some conversation with artists and gotten to know some of the artists that are out there. And, one of the things that's kind of fun about this is that sometimes you get a little bit of info from the artists themselves about something is coming out or it's been accepted. And so in this case, instead of having to wait till Thursday night when we get the sneak preview of what's going in the shop, we've got a hint that, whether this is going to be available on Friday or if it's just in the queue, I guess we'll find out Thursday night, because sometimes there are designs that are in the queue, but they aren't necessarily offered to the public immediately. Sometimes they sit there in that queue for a while. So we'll have to stay tuned and see if this is available for purchase on Friday, or if we have to wait a bit longer before that becomes the case. All right, so those are the 6 hats that Glenn and I picked out, and as we do more of these shows, we'll have each panelist will have a chance to nominate their the hats that they want to talk about. Oh, sorry, I had one more slide. So these were 2 hats that I found interesting, but I would have some feedback for them. So unfortunately, I now know the percentages, and neither one of these were close to the 40% threshold, but I liked elements of both of these. So I wanted to talk about, what I liked about them. So the spider in the mouth is kind of scary. I mean, like nobody really wants to eat an insect, right? Not a living insect, I think. Maybe if you eat like chocolate covered grasshoppers or something. So there's an element of like risk and danger, and we've got the red of the lips, and we've got the black of the spider, and the multiple eyes. And so, as a kind of Halloween themed hat, I think this is clever. It puts you slightly on edge when you see something like this. Um, Obviously it didn't get enough votes that it's a lock to go to the shop. And I don't necessarily know that I have any one suggestion about how to increase the support. I like it as it is. Maybe it's just a little too disturbing and people don't want to wear this on their head. Do you have any thoughts about this one, Glenn?
I found it interesting too. I kind of was hoping that it would go through to for one, just because it is intriguing, it's cool, and also to see if Casey would do anything to it to change it or to modify it. Um, I don't know what I would do to modify it. I feel like if it didn't go through and Raphael did a 2.0 or did a revision to it and changed it, I think he would some whatever he does, he's going to improve it. So it our intrigue and our leaning into it, I think would be put over the edge with 2.0, and we both really like it. I don't know, maybe put the tongue out and it's on the tongue, maybe.
Mm.
I don't know. But I feel like if he does a 2.0, it's going to be even better than this one.
The one idea that occurred to me is what if there was like a single spider web that went up from the spider, so in the sense that the spider is like dropping down on a thin line of webbing and it's about to land on the person's tongue. The only issue with that is that obviously when the stitching happens, the stitching isn't going to go all the way up to the button. So if you
Yeah.
had the spider coming down on a strand of webbing, eventually that line's going to vanish on the crown of the hat. And so maybe that would be distracting rather than be adding to the theme. I don't know.
Maybe like a spider uvula.
Maybe. I don't know.
I
All right.
don't
And
know.
for 14.8, this is more of a cartoony style, and I like the black line outline of it. I like the fact that it's a different color, so I like to see some variety. And this is, to my mind, it's a completely unique looking critter. Maybe this comes from maybe it's inspired by a moth. That was the only thing I could think of. But the kind of curvy antennae that are coming out above the eyes are cool and a little bit scary. I liked this. It didn't do great in the vote. Maybe trying it in a different color palette, maybe that would get it some more votes. But just as a collector, I like the fact that it seemed quite original and different. I believe, did we see this once before? Is this the second time this has been in crits?
No, this is the first time.
Okay, I might be thinking of I just saw it on Instagram because I follow 14.8 on Instagram. So
Probably.
maybe that's why it seems familiar to me. So if if he might be able to resubmit this with a different colorway or a different background. I'm pretty happy with his color choices, so I don't have a lot of criticism. Obviously, I voted for it and I liked it, but he might want to play around with the colors and see if there's maybe that could get a few more votes to go for it in the future. Let's take a minute here, and we didn't do this at the outset, but let's talk about what we're wearing. So I'm gonna make myself big. So I'm wearing this clink today, uh, which is one that I did not buy when it was in the shop, but I bought from another collector. And so this is called not Haunted Hollow. It's called I'm spacing on the name now. Hostile Hollow. And what you can see is there's this moon that's coming through the trees, and we've got this wolf, maybe a werewolf, and it's brandishing its teeth, and we can see the eyes glowing. And we've got all the little pointy parts of the tree branches, and we get the tree roofs. But there's definitely kind of like this gap. Maybe it's a portal into some kind of like extraterrestrial or paranormal dimension. I love this logo. And so this was a hat that, as I said, I did not buy it when it's available for pre-order. It may have been available before I was collecting. I don't remember. And another collector had it for sale on the buy sell trade page, and I hopped on it, and I'm very happy to have it now that we're in Halloween season. Glenn, what are you wearing today?
Real quick before that, go back to Impending Doom. I wanted to say some stuff about it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Um,
Okay.
no, you're good. You're good. 14.8. I'm a big fan of 14.8. I love his stuff. His stuff is always simplistic on the mock-up or the design, but always embroiders beautifully. But the average person doesn't envision that, I guess, and his stuff doesn't usually vote very well. Um, that being said, this would look amazing as a hat. I love this design. Um, for me, my interpretation of it is a unique take on the Mothman
Okay.
because the Mothman is known for the red eyes,
Yes.
um, and also when you see Mothman, something bad is on the horizon, basically. So there's lots of Mothman designs. Some have made it, some have not. Some original, a lot of them are just rehashed almost. But I really felt like this one was a unique take on it. It's creepy yet kind of cutesy at the same time, which 14.8's really good at doing. Um,
It's the kind of Mothman you could take home to meet your mother.
right. It would make a fun little plushie too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
I'll just last summer I went up to Toronto to a Lego convention, and we made a point to drive through Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where the Mothman story emerged.
yeah,
And there's been a movie and there's been books, and they actually have a Mothman museum, and they have a statue of an interpretation of the Mothman right there in the little downtown. So my spouse and I, we went over and posed by the statue of the Mothman. So and
that's
in our
cool.
travels across the United States and Canada, we worked in a stop to see the location where the Mothman story originated from. So if you're ever going through the border between West Virginia and Ohio, stop in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and you too can get your picture with the Mothman.
Good times. I would love to see that.
What you wearing,
All right.
Glenn?
All right. What I'm wearing, I am wearing a Josh Voles hat. Josh Voles, if you know me, you know he's one of my favorites. This one is called Carry On Crushers. Ignore all the cat hair on it. Um, but yeah, this is one of his. It's kind of a take on like a baseball logo, with the vulture and his bone bat. Yeah, Carry On Crushers. I was not able to get this one. This is the original one. Um, I was not a collector when this came out, but luckily I was able to score this from one of the buy sell trade Facebook members, who hooked me up, and I was super excited. I have the fresh colorway of it as well. I don't have it handy, but I do have the fresh colorway. I had to grab that one too. I'm just a big fan of this design.
Cool. Well, and that's one of the things that, all of us that'll be on the show, we love our clinks, we love our customs. And so not only do we get to talk about new things that are coming down the pike, but, we'll get a chance to show off things that are in our collection and that we love. And, one of the things that I think is hard about the crits process is that, there's some great designs that just don't get made. And, I was actually chatting with somebody, and I pitched the idea of, appealing to Casey and saying maybe like once a year, they should have a thing where like, VIPs could like bring back a design that was up in crits and didn't get approved. And we could have like a losers bracket. If you've ever done like a sports tournament, where like you lose a game and you go in the losers bracket, we could have like a losers bracket election or something where, I don't know, we've got like 20 designs that various fans wish had made it to the shop, and we'll give them like one more shot at getting in. And so maybe 6 of the 20 would get made. That's a dream. So Casey, if you watch the show, please do it.
My idea, I told Heather and I told Creature, um, the collector fresh colorway packs. I say you do 5 fresh colorways and you pick one failed design from Clink to or from Crits to be made.
That would be cool.
That
That
would
would
be
be,
dope. 5
yeah.
fresh colorways and one failed Crits design.
And then lastly, I wanted to bring this one up. And so Smartifice, the picture on the left was the version that he submitted some time ago. So Southern California had some really devastating fires that were in the Los Angeles area. I personally, even though I live on the eastern side of the United States, I actually know a friend of mine lived in the Los Angeles area, and his home was burned to the ground. And so he and his partner and their baby, they fled their home with just what they could put in the car, and everything else is gone. So that it really kind of tugs at your heartstrings. And so this design was submitted partly as a nod of respect for those people who fought the flames and tried to save people's homes and livelihoods. And it's back in crits today, and I did vote for it. But this is one of the things where when things come back in crits, sometimes I should say sometimes the artist has to make it at least a little bit different. And I messaged Smartifice today and I said, I'm voting for your design, but I want to say, like, I love the color of the first one. So like, I would like to see this go to the shop, but man, I wish the first version had gone to the shop, because to me, we've got the orange and the white there of the fire and the new design, but we've got the blue sky. But the one on the left looks way more scary and frightening, where that plane is swooping in and there's these amazingly tall flames. And if you watched any footage of those, out of control wildfires, it was scary. I mean, there was dash cam footage of people driving through, a whole wall of trees or just aflame. And I felt like the first design brought that tension and that drama to life. And so if this goes to the shop, I would love for there to be a shift to back to the original colorway, which will bring us to more Clink news. So we're gonna hop in, and we are gonna talk about some of the changes between crits and the shop going forward. Before we get into that, there's 2 announcements that popped up on Clink for this week. One of them is that there's this gallery of hats that are dwindling down to just 3 sizes left. And so if there is one of these designs that you like, you better act soon. I think that in the past, once a dead stock got down to just 1 or 2 sizes, they would just pull it off the website, and then those ended up going into the mystery hat distribution. I don't know if that's the plan in the future, but I know that happened in the past. And then the other thing that was announced was, if you are local to San Diego, where Clink Room is building its showroom and its public area, you can now go and pick up hats physically at the location, as opposed to having them mailed to you. And so that's some emerging news. And I think that's another indicator that the physical changes in building process at the headquarters is moving further along, and they're ready for some people to drop by and get hats. And so I hope someday to get out there myself and see that showroom, but that's about a 48-hour drive from where I live. So it won't be tomorrow, that's for sure. I'm not going to swing by San Diego just to get a hat anytime in the near future.
Come on, you can save yourself some shipping.
That's right. Save that $10 on shipping. All right, so we had some shock drops that came out this week, and I'm gonna do a little show and tell here. So for me personally, this the Dead Presidents is a hat that has come in a bunch of colors. So this is the one that I got. I liked it because it's the green color of money. The greenback. The United States is unusual in that all of our money uses green. If you ever get a chance to travel outside the United States and you go somewhere else, it's quite common that not only, like in our country, the coins are different sizes, but in other countries, the money is different color depending on the value of the money. But in America, it's all green. So we have the greenback, and this hat is now on another colorway. Glenn, any thoughts on this particular version, or did you like a different color that's been made in the past?
I'm super jealous of that Vegas gold one you just held up. Um, I really wanted that one. I don't own any of the Dead Presidents colorways. There's like 7 of them, I think. Um, but that one was my favorite. I missed out on that shock drop. I was actually in a movie with my phone turned off when it dropped, and as soon as I opened and saw it, I checked and my size was sold out per the usual. So yeah, I'm jealous of that one. Um, the new colorway, I liked it, not quite enough for me to buy. It does look better in hand than the pictures on the website. I think it was Taylor, Mr. Dome Pieces shared pictures of it, and it has copper threading that is metallic and looks really good on this hat. Um, I held out on it. I'm gonna try to get the Vegas Gold eventually. Try to catch one up for sale on buy sell trade. So I passed on that one.
Why don't you tell us about the other shock drop? Because I know that you like this one quite a lot.
This shock drop, I love this one. I am gonna get it. Um, I'm kind of waiting. I'm hopefully it won't sell out. I was kind of waiting to get 2 more because if you're new, if you don't know, if you buy 3 hats, you get free shipping. So they always get us like that. So we usually wait till we there's 3 that we gotta have. And that's what I was trying to do, but I'm really scared it'll sell out in my size. Um, but I do really like that one. This is one case where I like the recolor better than the original. Um, the original didn't really appeal to me, but this one I really like. I really like the pink and the black, and you can't really tell in the website picture, but it has a really pretty metallic gold thread in the design, the new era design, and then also on the Kong logo on the back. It's the metallic gold. Looks really good. They did a really good job on this recolor, fresh colorway.
And you make an excellent point, which is I'm no longer surprised, but when they first started doing the fresh colorways, I was absolutely amazed sometimes at how changes in the color would alter my desire for the hat dramatically. So sometimes you
Yeah.
would just see it in a different color combo and you would be like, "Oh, I need that." Like that is amazing. And so certain hats, we were chatting about this certain hats have actually been done in 7 or 8 colors. And so, like Dead Presidents, Circuit Spirit, Vandals has been done in quite a few colorways. The Chief, the Indian headdress Chief has been done in many colorways. And so, there's certain ones where you've had variety of opportunities. I'm a huge fan of Ray Gun, and Ray Gun has now been done in 4 colorways. So one of the things is if it's a popular theme, if you're patient, it might come back around in a colorway that you like better. And we're going to get to this later in the show, but twice now I've bought a hat and then another colorway I liked even better, and I bought it again. So that can happen. So let's talk about some of the fresh colorways. And so we had one that dropped this last week by Cap. It was the colorway was titled Cap Fiend 2, and so I've titled the slide "The Fiendish Fresh Way." So, Glenn, which one of these grabbed your eye the most? Was there any one that you were like, "Ooh, look at that"?
Um, Out of the full Cap Fiend drop, the 2 of them that stood out the most to me was the sidekicks, and also the gumshoes. Um, I let's see. Yeah,
Great.
I have ordered the gumshoes. Um, it is beautiful. Pink UV, pink back hit. And there, yeah, there's Matt with the second coloration of that one. Play on words with the gumshoe. Love it. Love it.
And this is one time where I'm really sad that Aaron wasn't able to be here with us today, because this is Aaron's colorway. This is his recolor,
Yep.
and so maybe we can touch back on this next week when he's back on. And when this came out, you were talking about gray crowns, and gray crowns haven't really been a favorite color of mine. But once I actually got this in hand, I love this. I love the whole thing, and it's really sort of opened my eyes to gray as a crown color. And this is my favorite color of the three versions that have come out. Um,
Really.
yeah, I like it. I like it better than the one you chose, but that's what's great. Like, you got a colorway that you like best, and I got a colorway that I like best, and that's one of the sweet things about these alternates. The other thing I'd point out is that if you look at these 6 designs: shoe, 2 shoes, 2 shoes, 2 shoes, 1 shoe. One of these things is not like the other, right? So the one that doesn't fit with the shoe theme, and this is one that I got in Taylor's recolor, and I like this particular collection of colors a little bit better. So I'm happy. Taylor told me that, like, this was killer and that I'd really want to get it. And this is the one version I have of Nine Tails, and I do really, really like it. I haven't worn it yet, so it's still got the sticker on it. But depending upon your taste, and Aaron, we were chatting about this one, and Aaron was, I think it was Aaron, or maybe it was you, I believe it was Aaron, was saying that this particular color of Nine Tails matches up with collectors who want to pair a hat with the colors in their shoes. And I'm not personally a shoe collector, and so it's not something that goes into my calculation when I'm deciding what to purchase or not purchase. But I could, when he framed it that way, it made a lot of sense to me. So Cap Fiend is a shoe person. If you follow his Instagram, you'll see his racks of shoes as well as his racks of hats that he'll feature when he's showing off a hat. So it made sense to me why somebody might want a colorway that maybe doesn't grab my attention, but it works well with the kinds of shoes they're going to wear out.
Yeah, and he even paired it up. Each hat is paired up with a pair of shoes on the website. It looks really cool. I did like how the fresh sidekicks or fresh kicks or whatever that one's called. I like the green in it, and it's almost like a gradient. The colors of it.
Yes.
Um, I did not pick up that one because, like you, I'm not really a shoe guy. Like I said, I think I own like 3 pairs of shoes. So I'm not really a shoe guy, but I did like the fresh sidekick or the fresh kicks. And the gum shoes. I've always wanted the gum shoes. It was both were sold out. So I was excited to be able to get that iteration of it.
The other thing I would say is, for this slide, I really like the color choices on the green one. So I do find that attractive. And in the
Yeah.
middle one here with the shoes hanging, I mean, I'm old enough, I remember seeing the shoes hanging from the power lines. This is one case where the recolor makes me see the image in a different light. So in the previous version, my eye was drawn to the shoes, but in this version, because the sky is colored in this kind of almost like sunset or even apocalyptic kind of skyscape, I noticed the sky a lot more than I did in the first version of this, the first colorway. And so it just gives it a different sort of flavor, a different kind of vibe than was in the
Yeah.
first one.
Yeah, and it's like if you have the first one or you loved the first one, then this one you're gonna love it too, and you're gonna want it as well. It checks the box for um just as cool as the original, but original enough for it to for you to want it as well.
All right. All right, let's head on over and see what else we've got. So one of the things we want to do on this show that'll be a little bit different is at least talk a little bit about when these hats go from the crits vote on a Monday to when they appear in a shop. And sometimes there are very subtle changes, and sometimes there's some pretty big changes that go from one phase to the other. And so 5 of the 6 hats that came out on Friday saw some tweaks. And so one of the things we're planning to do on a regular basis is just kind of highlight or chat about these tweaks. Glenn, what are your thoughts on the crits to shop? Were these killer changes? Did they kill your desire for the hat, or did they enhance your desire for the hat?
Um, this one, I think the color palette that Casey chose for the green one, I actually liked it better than the blue one. Um, Mainly because it is different. You know, any kind of underwater seascape or whatever, aquatic life, the hat is 99.9% of the time blue.
Yes.
And we talked about this, and there are so many blue hats that it's kind of cool to see it on a green hat. Um, and I like the highlights, the green, the like funky green highlights on the shark and the orca as well with the green one. It's just something different for me. Instead of just another blue hat with a whale and an orca on it. Um, for me, it wasn't one that I was blown away by, and I definitely voted for, and I wanted it, and I wanted it to go to shop. But I do appreciate it. I think the art is great. Um, I don't really get the orca and the shark there together. They're like mortal enemies. One's food for the other, basically.
Well,
Um,
I do think that that's meant to be, yin and yang. So, the traditional yin and yang, like there's the one that's black and the other that's white, and there's the contrast and the idea of balance and harmony. And so, Leon was talking about this particular hat in one of his other shows, and he was commenting that in reality, the killer whale is much larger than a shark. And, the thing that popped into my mind was, well, he's not trying to draw it as a to scale, but it's supposed to capture that reference to the yin and the yang sign where the two things are equal in proportion to represent that concept of balance and conflict. And so I think if you perceive it as the yin and yang, then you're sort of like, okay, I get why these two things are not scaled as you would see in an aquarium or something like that. So
but aren't the yin and yang supposed to be like opposites?
well,
Like
they
the
are.
black
So
and the white?
you're in color, they are, yes, but here the opposite is one is predator and one is prey. So they
Oh,
are
okay.
opposites in the sense here, not in the visual color, but in terms of their relationship and the natural order of things. So it's kind of an interesting twist on, instead of
Yeah,
just showing it as a color difference, we're getting a difference here, but it's sort of like where they are in the food chain. So
I'll
you
give
know
you that.
I think it's original. I like it. And I have enough shark hats that I could wear a different shark hat every day of Shark Week. And so I don't know if I would get this one because I already have a week's worth of shark hats in my collection. But I do agree with you that seeing it on a green tone is a nice variation, because we've had a lot of blue on Shark Week. I think 6 of my 7 shark hats are blue. So
Right.
having a green shark hat would at least shake it up a little bit.
Hey, that's another cool thing about Magma Shark.
Yes. Yeah. It's not the same color that you get all the other shark hats on. So. All right, let's take a hop over to the next one, and Oni. And I don't know a ton about this. I don't know a ton about Japanese culture. What are your thoughts?
I'm already sold. It's Josh Voles. I'm already sold. I'm good.
Just
But
get Josh your money already, right?
right. So the one on the left, if you're not aware, the one on the left was the one that is the original that went up to crits, and then the one on the right is the one that's going to shop with some changes made to it. Um, so I actually like the original better than the touched up one. Um, I was in the minority on this, but I don't know. I like some of the details on the original better, um, that got changed. Um, but I still like the one in the shop. I'm not hating on it. It's good. It's great. It's great. It's not good. It's great. It's just different. It's just different. So I like both of them. I'm definitely gonna get it. Um, but yeah, the first one was more eye catching to me. I think there's more creepiness on the original than the touched up one. The Oni mask is the main character. He looks a little more creepy to me than the touched up one.
What I like about the changes, I think the forehead is better. It's got a little bit more shape, and I like how there's a little more black in the forehead, and we can see some of the details better. One of the things is that we see is that in the original, the kind of tassel parts are pointed down, and now they're pointed upward. And I think it would actually look better without the tassels at all. So we would just kind of get the vertical of the cross symbol behind it. I don't necessarily know if there's it's not something I'm very knowledgeable about. So maybe there's a reason why those sort of tassel things are there. But just as an element of design, I think it would be a little cleaner if they were completely gone. But this is what's in the shop, so that's what's going to go out there. I like the fact that the where the two pieces of wood come together, that the stitching is actually toned down a little bit more, and it actually looks like a real like tied off connecting point. I think that's a tiny little tweak. I like that tweak. But again, I'm probably not going to get this one, so it's not for me. But I'm glad that you're going to get it, and you're going to give Josh your money.
And I'm not usually, like I said earlier in the show, I'm not usually a Japanese culture design kind of guy. Um, but I like this one. Um,
You're
and
a
I
Volts
just
you're a Volts guy.
yeah, I just feel like the original was more frenetic. It's more scary and chaotic than the traditional looking Oni mask. But that's
All right.
just me.
All right, let's go to the next one. So we had the Ghost, and so the left version was the version that the artist 14.8 had up on their Instagram, and then the right hand version is the one that came to the shop. And so we can see in the original version that there's a high level of contrast. So you've got the Ghost against the dark crown, and then you've got the sort of aqua blue on the brim. I personally like that better. The one thing I will say about the shop version is that I think the glow on the bottom of the hands that is more clear in the shop version on the right. I do think that's an improvement in the design, but I do like the color contrast better in the original, where it's the kind of aqua color against the black silhouette. I will say that in general, I do like teal crowns. One of my all-time favorite clink hats is Scrapes, which is the Band-Aid, the cross Band-Aids that are on a teal crown. And I wasn't sure that I was going to like the teal crown, but once it's in my hand, it's actually one of my favorite hats, and I've worn it a bunch of times. What's your comments, Glenn?
Um, this is one of those rare situations where I'm just going to echo what you said.
Okay.
I 100% agree with you on that. I like the original better. Every aspect about this design I like on the original better. I don't care for the colorway on the second one. I don't care for the bones and the skull underneath the ghost. I feel like that doesn't really fit with the design. Um, I don't know. I feel like sometimes bones and skulls are added to designs that doesn't necessarily improve the design. And I
I
feel
mean,
like that.
don't ghosts no longer need a body?
Right, right. Why would they have but anyway, I digress. Um, like we were saying, we're bones and skulled to death. No pun intended. Um, so I do like the original better, and I like the glow that you're talking about. I like the coloration on the first one. Whereas it's just white on the second one. Um, and the contrast with the black on the first colorway. Um, and I like the teal brim better than the black. I'm basically just echoing everything you said.
All
But
right.
yeah, I agree with you. And
That's good.
I wish they would have let this one be, but I hope 14.8 gets some good sales out of it.
Yeah, I would say the majority of the time I like the tweaks more than I dislike them, but this is one hat where I prefer the original artwork more than the tweaks. And so
Yeah,
then we got
absolutely. Sometimes there's ones that we absolutely love the changes, you know. There's a lot of times where we're like, "Man, I'm glad it went to shop. These changes are great."
yep,
And but, not everybody feels that way. The changes are quite a hot button among the consumers,
yes.
whether good or bad.
All right, and then we've got Royals from Win Studio, and the image is pretty much unchanged. The color, we've got a change in the background color with the crown. To me, this is as I'm a little skulled out, so this would not be on my personal order list. The one thing I would say is that I feel like the detailing in the roses on the left and the right of the design are much clearer in the shop version, which is the right one, the brown one. And I do think that that is, in my opinion, clearly an improvement between the crits look and the final product. I think that it's been cleaned up a little bit with the rose petals, and you can see the edges much more distinctly. But um, this is probably what your thoughts?
Um, I like that the image itself was cleaned up, so to speak, and some of the details removed. Because sometimes Wynn's designs have a little too much detail, which doesn't always embroider well. Sometimes it's wonderful, but sometimes it's got a little too much detail. So I think that's what they were trying to eliminate, was just make it look cleaner, make it embroider better, make an improvement. Um, I did like the colorway better on the first one, and especially the undervisor. I really like the undervisor on the first one, and I don't feel like the green does anything for this one, and it doesn't really fit very well for me. Um, but like you said, it wasn't one that I was eyeballing to pre-order anyway. It's just another skull design. It doesn't really break the mold, for me at least. I'm sure there's numerous people that are going to love it. It voted very well. I mean, I think it was like in the 50s,
Yeah.
50 percentile. Um, but yeah.
All right. And then our last one not the last one, our fifth one for the pre order was we've got Rafael Santos, Rise and Shine. And so the original version is the one on the left, the cock against the cock on the sunrise against a black background. And now it's been put on a blue background. This is one where I do prefer the original. And to me, I grew up in the rural Midwest, and I had to get up and milk two milk goats before the sun came up in the winter. And I would get up in that pre-dawn darkness, and sometimes I'd be out there doing the chores. We had chickens, and we had a pig, and we had the milk goats. And as the sun would come up, you'd hear the rooster. We had one rooster, and it would start crowing. And so this has a kind of nostalgia element for me, someone who grew up in rural America, and we had a rooster. And I think the black to me symbolizes that sort of pre-dawn or early dawn moment more than the blue. Um, any points on this one?
Yeah. Can you guys see this guy on a farm doing like farm chores? Like I can't see that. I cannot see Matt out there milking the cows and shit. Like, no.
I'll
Uh
have to dig up. There's a picture of me in farmer overalls when I'm about 15. That's it's kind of funny. I'll have to see if I can dig that up. But yeah, one of the things I learned about, we built a house when I was 15 from the ground up, and I had to milk goats. I had to build a house. As I decided that I wanted to get paid to use my brain, not to use my back or my hands, and I wanted to make enough money I could hire somebody to do some of these activities that I did not enjoy. I was a nerd. I just wanted to go read my books. But I did learn some things by doing these kind of farm type chores, but it was not my favorite thing as a teenager. I will be honest.
I agree with you. I like the first colorway on this one. I feel like we talked about before with this design. The black really lends itself more to like the dark before the dawn, more so than the blue does for me. And I like the also the visor that matches. Um, I'm more partial to a colorful visor than a black visor. Um, so I do like the black crown on that one better. This one's funny. This one reminds me of like a 90s era kitchen motif. My dad at my dad's house, he actually has a whole bunch of rooster and chicken stuff in his kitchen. So it takes me to my dad's house with all the roosters and stuff in the kitchen, the decor in there.
All right. So let's go to the last one. And so the last one, we don't have a pre and a post because this was one that was not in crits. So we had the bright light Kong that's available that became available on Friday, and I put up the 8-bit Kong as an example as a comparison because in the 8-bit Kong we have little squares, right? So the stitching is in little cube type design, and I did get this when they had the like dead stock sale, and I was kind of on the fence because purple isn't my favorite color, and I already have a bunch of Kongs, but now that it's in hand, I actually like it quite a lot. And the reason that I'm putting the 8-bit Kong up as a point of comparison with the Light Bright is that we're going from a Kong made up of square pieces on the left to a Kong that's a collection of round pieces. And for me, this punches the nostalgia button. I had a Light Bright as a kid, and so this brings back memories of childhood and enjoying something. I am curious to see how the round part stitches, because stitching is lines. It's much easier to do a square out of stitching, and making a circle out of stitching is, I'm assuming, a little bit more challenging. So I'm kind of curious to see how this one comes out, but I may wait for a dead stock on this one just to see the finished product. But I am attracted to this, and I am tempted to purchase this one just because of this kind of childhood connection with the Light Bright. Recently, a couple years ago, I gave my husband. They had a Stranger Things, which Stranger Things, if you're not familiar, is a TV show, and it's set in the 80s. And so in the background, there's a Light Bright kit in, I think, one of the episodes. And so they had a Stranger Things restoration of a Light Bright kit. And so you could do like the Stranger Things logo using the little Light Bright. And it was like a throwback nostalgia toy. And so he's a huge fan of Stranger Things and all things 1980s. And so I bought it for him as a Christmas gift. And so for me, this grabs my nostalgia instinct pretty hard, but I do have a few questions about how the roundness is going to translate with the reds.
Yeah, I think that they'll be able to. I think they'll be able to manage it. Like I said, I think if anybody can do it, it's going to be Jason and Casey, and I don't think that Jason's going to put a design out there that they're not going to be able to execute beautifully. I think it's going to look awesome. My only critique is that I would have liked to see some more color um, pertaining to like a Light Bright, as colorful as Light Brights are. I understand why it's the color it is. Obviously, it's the Clink logo. So I get that. But me, I'm not really a Kong collector. I have like one, I think I have one Kong hat and I have one on the way. Um, so if it had more light, bright coloration feel to it, like I might have been more apt to get it. Um, but I may change my mind. Stuff grows on me.
Yes.
Sometimes hats come out and I'm like, eh. And then like 3, 4 days later, I'm like, I gotta have that. it grows on me. So I can see that happening with this one.
All right, let's take a look at what's next. So one of the things we want to do on this that would be a little bit different from being 100% Clink focus is we're also going to highlight other custom hat designers, other custom hats that are coming available to collectors. And I personally am a huge fan of Noble North. I've bought a bunch of their hats. Some of their hats are designed by Clink artist Aurelian. So he's done some of their design work. I don't know who else does their design work. And so they have a Halloween one that's coming out this week. Unfortunately, at the moment, you may have heard that there's a trade war between U.S. and Canada, and there's tariffs, and there's also a postal strike in Canada. So there's a lot of stuff going on. And unfortunately, right now, if you buy this hat, there's a $35 shipping charge, which is enough to put me off. I'm going to hold off and wait and see if the charge drops. Maybe the tariffs go away. Maybe it'll get cheaper. I am a huge fan. I own a bunch of Noble North, so that's available. And then on the right hand side, we have Thrill San Francisco, and so this came out this last week, and this particular hat honors uh, a fire hydrant. And so there's a great story behind this. This particular fire hydrant uh, did not fail in the Great San Francisco Fire of 1906 when the water mains were broke. Most of the fire hydrants had no water, and so they couldn't spray to put out the flames that resulted because there were gas lines. The gas lines broke in the earthquake. Fires were coming up. The city was being consumed, and there was no water pressure. And so the only way to save what was left of the city was to literally level an entire street to create a fire break. So they used dynamite to prevent the fire from spreading, which is horrible. But that's one fire hydrant, the one that's honored here. It drew its water from a spring-fed reservoir underground, and it still had water pressure, and so it still supplied water. And hoses connected to it saved part of what's called the Mission District of the city of San Francisco. And so Thrill is a custom hat designer who's based in San Francisco. And so this is a nod to not only to firefighters, but to the specific story and the specific fire hydrant, which today is painted a golden color out of respect and kind of honor that this one fire hydrant saved a neighborhood in the great crisis of the 1906 earthquake. So these are just some cool designs. Unfortunately, the fire hydrant is sold out. So if you didn't get it, you kind of missed your chance. They also put out another blue version for a pre-order, which also has closed already. So, but if you want it, you might be able to find it on some secondary sources. So, all right, so let's hop on to some other ones. So we also have artists that from the Clink Room. So Chimuko is an artist who's done a number of hats. And in the early days, the Clink Room sold its hats, or the distribution was from Hat Club. And so Chimiko Studios still has some of his designs that are coming out, and I absolutely adored this one. I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan, and so the octopus is a traditional symbol of good luck for my favorite hockey team, and so I did go ahead and get this for Chimuko. And then I'm also a huge fan of Letterform, and so Hillside Goods, who has done some hats for Clink, has had a number of hats come out. In this case, it's the T and the S. The two letters also are done with unique colors and artistry. And so I did not love these particular colors, so I did not pre-order this one, or I didn't order this one. But if you like custom hats, these are some ones that are available. And then Danny Dionic, who's done a couple of Clinks. His hats are now mostly being sold on Uprock Shop. And so he just had another Octo Slugger, which is this sort of traditional, most colored design. It's come out in a variety of colors. And then he also has the slugging alligator or crocodile. I'm not sure which it is. And so these are some examples of other customs that are either have already come out or might be available. Glenn, are there any of these that really grab your attention?
I like the fire hydrant one, the Thrill hat. I didn't really know anything about it until I read your post about it, and was very intrigued and read the whole thing, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I saw one of the other colors of it, other colorways, but I really liked this one. Um, that was a really cool story, really cool hat. Noble North, every hat they make is pretty much awesome. And as a horror fan, this one is right in my wheelhouse. So
I
yeah, and Shamuko, always a great hat, always a great designer. That one's killer. I was disappointed my size sold out so quickly on that one. I missed out on that one. Maybe I can catch a private sale.
yeah. All right, and then one other designer, or another thing that's coming out later this week. So Leon, who is one of the two people I believe that are involved in the Capologists, they're bringing back a couple of Halloween themed designs that their outlet had sold in the past. And so if you wanted any of these, so we've got the Puppet Master character on the top, and then we've got the kind of scary pumpkin face, and then on the lower my right hand side, we've got the witch, and she's got her pumpkin shaped cauldron brewing. I believe, if I remember correctly, these go live on Thursday, if that's correct. So if you're in the market, and I know a lot of clinkers are huge Halloween spooky season fans, these are going to be showing up, and you can take advantage of these new designs. And then one more hat maker. And so this one, I wasn't sure, honestly, like we haven't actually really talked about this. And these are not fitted. So these are snapbacks, but I'm a fan. So I got this one. This is Arches National Park. And this is made by a company called Rainier Hat Company, and they donate their profits to National Park Foundation. This is a beautiful hat. I've worn this a couple of times, and every time I wear it, people have commented on it. And they've debuted 6 more national parks. And so on the left, we have Yellowstone with the famous prismatic pool where the water temperature causes bacteria to make the color look different, make the water look different colors. On the right
That's
hand
really
side,
cool.
that's Acadia National Park, which is up in Maine. I had a chance to go there. I went there on my honeymoon. And rocks, and you've got the sunrise and the famous lighthouse. Any thoughts on these, Glenn?
They're beautiful. I was not aware of this company or these hats. I personally can't wear snapbacks because my head's so damn big. But if I could, these are beautiful.
Yep. So if you're not aware, there's another custom hat, shop, and the profits here go for a good purpose. So I'm a huge fan of national parks. Okay, and mail call. So one of the things that we'll do on this show is a chance to do a little show and tell. Do you have anything arrive lately at your house, Glenn, that you want to show to the audience?
Sure, sure. Uh, I want to show off my capologist I got. This is actually my very first capologist hat. Shout out to Leon. This thing is slick. That's his company logo on the back. Um, I don't know if you could tell, but it's got some metallic threading. Very cool. I got a cool little capologist logo pin to go with it. Very nice pin. I'm not even really a pin guy, but this thing is dope. So yeah, capologist killer.
All right. And so for me, the recent fresh colorway that came out, I was uh, I was sucked in, and so I got the Raging Hot Bull here, which absolutely love the colors. And then I also got the blue pinwheel for the painted bird. Blue is my favorite color. I absolutely adore the color choices on these. These are bold, nice logos. They look good from a distance. Really strong hat color choices. And then I ordered these two, and then they were doing the live stream and they were offering, like a discount. And so I took the plunge for the third. So I bought 3 of the 6 of these colorway. I bought the Rage Kong which has different dark purple and different shades of blue. And one of the things I would point out is look how thick that embroidery is. I mean, that's probably an eighth of an inch thick on this one. And the same thing is true if I hold this this raging bull to the side. Look at how thick that embroidery is. I mean, it looks like a patch that's sewn on. It's so thick. It is amazing what they can do with volume to give some of these hats.
Spectacular.
They give them a 3D element. And so that's one of the things that, I know, it's probably a trade secret, but whatever they're doing, at Clink Room with the stitching is impressive. So it's why sometimes I don't pre-order a hat, and then I see other collectors start to share pictures of theirs in hand, and I'm like, holy cow, that is really better in hand than I would have guessed from the artwork. So that happens. All right. So just as a reminder, coming up on Sunday, here's the deadline. So I'm going to just quickly run through the 6 that will be closing. And so we've got the Reef Scene that's closing, and we also have the Clink, 2 of the Clink heroes from the shop. So we've got the Luis, and I'm spacing on the dog's name at the moment. Do you remember? Shield. So Luis and Shield. There's a part of me that really wants this just because it's so specific to Clink Room. It's such a kind of like a insider. If I wore this out in public, people wouldn't understand why is a guy riding a dog, holding a box. But any Clinker is going to know this is so specific to Clink. So it's definitely on my maybe list. And then we've got
and shout out to Luis. He's such an awesome dude. So positive.
Yeah.
Great vibes. He's an awesome guy.
It's fun watching the Clink live streams. It's fun to see him, and he's holding stuff up to the camera. And so we've got the Abduction Alien on the right, and we've got the Blueberries and the Blue Bird on the left. So these also close on Sunday. And then we have we're in October, so we've got Oktoberfest going on, and so we've got the barmaid who is herself a Stein, bringing out the beverages. I have a few friends that have traveled to Germany for Oktoberfest, and it's fun to watch some of their videos of these people bringing out huge steins of beverages. On the right, we have the Pirate Kong, and I don't know what it is about Kongs in purple, but we already saw, for example, today the Light Bright, which had a purple, and then we had the 8-bit, which was in purple, and now we've got the Pirate Kong in purple. So apparently, Kongs and purple just go together. I keep saying I'm tired of purple, but I actually like this image quite a lot. I haven't pre-ordered it, but I'm a little tempted there. So these are the 6. Any of these grab you, Glenn? Did you pre-order any of these already, or did any of these are they on your radar as like,
I already ordered Chosen. That was a no-brainer for me. I had to get that one. I'm on the fence with the one we were just talking about on the next slide. Yeah, the purple beard. I'm on the fence with that one. Oh, I also got the Beer Maiden. I pre-ordered that one. That one and Chosen. And I'm on the fence with Purple Beard. And Flanagan's is a great design. Flanagan and Buenos Biscuits. The blueberries and Bluebird. The blueberry is a nod to Buenos's dog, whose name is Blueberry.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah, that's the reasoning for the blueberries. It was originally Buenos' design that failed on crits, but him and Flanagan teamed up, and Flanagan added one of his famous birds, and it was birthed.
There we go. All right, so I'm a big fan of UFO stuff. I grew up on the X-Files, and so that also grabbed my attention as on a conceptual level. It's something that I voted for when it was in crits. And I know you like your beverages. All right, so this is gonna wrap up for our first ever show. If you don't get the reference, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. So long, and thanks for all the fish. So when the apocalypse comes to the Earth, the dolphins, who turned out to be the smartest creature on planet Earth, they leave before the apocalypse consumes the earth, and they say so long and thanks for all the fish when they leave the earth to go to somewhere else in the galaxy. I don't remember now. So if you made it this far, thank you. And we will try to do better. This is our, maiden voyage, and we're still kind of figuring some things out. We would appreciate positive feedback. Just as designers like positive feedback, if you like something or you've got some ways to improve it, feel free to shoot any of us a message. Our handles are on the Instagram, and we're pretty active on Instagram. So I hope you enjoyed it. We want to make a place where fans of custom hats can come hang out in the chat, hear people talk about why they love particular hats, what motivated them to get a particular hat, or how the hat connects to them. This came up in today's show. Like we have our personal hobbies and our personal interests and nostalgia and these kinds of things. And so some hats just connect with individuals, and they may not connect with other individuals. And this is the great thing about having variety, is there's a hat out there for everybody, right? So thank you for coming today, Glenn. Thanks for chatting and being my co-writer on our first maiden voyage here. And tune in next week, everybody, and hopefully we'll do it better, and we'll have some cool new things to talk about next week as well. So thank you, and thanks for all the fish.